Women Up Radio, designed to facilitate women's empowerment, improve your career, develop your talents, incorporate your passions, achieve fulfillment and success.
Hello, this is Women Up Radio, supporting Empower Women. And today we're talking about women's strengths in overcoming challenges, their values and beliefs, from entering the field of marine biology and conservation to participating in polar expeditions. I'm joined in the studio by my guest, Susan Gallon, an adventurous marine biologist specialising in seals, my favourite animals, acutely aware of the struggles with climate change and the Arctic. Susan is participating in the all-woman expedition to the North Pole, not only for personal challenge, but also to raise awareness of this wild and fragile part of the world. So welcome to the programme, Susan.
Hi, everybody, and thank you, Hannah, for inviting me today to share my journey.
It's an absolute pleasure, and it's going to be so interesting. So can you tell us what led you to choose the field of marine biology? And how have you managed to lead such an adventurous life with it? I'm totally jealous.
So I chose the field of marine biology after a diving trip when I was 16. Before that, yes. Actually, before that, I would mainly read a lot of books, and I mainly studied art and literature. And I always thought that I would open a bookshop in the middle of nowhere.
Yes.
So then there was yes, there was a change of plan after that diving trip when I put my head under the water, and I was amazed by what I saw. I was amazed by what I felt being that kind of 3D environment, and I just realized how much had been hidden from me for so long. That was not in the book, it was me experiencing stuff, and that was new for me.
Yeah.
So I changed from literature to science. Yeah. And then the more I did science, the more I figured out what I liked about it. And it's always been the marine environment.
Yeah.
I like the challenge associated with it, the fact that unless you go diving, you don't see what's happening. So you always rely on like technologies and other like tools to try and figure out what is happening out there, and so you keep discovering new stuff. So it's a really exciting field to be working in.
Oh, it sounds absolutely amazing. I have to ask, because I'm a scuba diver as well.
Yeah.
How did you first dive to give you this inspiration? Was it in France or was it somewhere a bit more exotic?
No, it was in France, in Brittany.
Really?
It was it was like in the summer, you have field trip offered to you. And that was, I guess, a challenge for me, where I would mainly prefer to be sitting in a chair reading book. Yeah. And then one day I was like, okay, I will do something totally different. Yeah. Go diving. You never dived before. In Brittany, never been to Brittany before. And changed my life.
Brittany. Totally. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. But I've never dived in Brittany because I think it must be extremely cold.
It's less cold than Scotland.
Well, that's not difficult.
But I think with the appropriate gear, it's not that cold, and it's really stunning. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I would highly recommend. Yeah, there's lots of, even some like cold corals and amazing, every color, really stunning.
I'll have to speak to you after the programme to ask you more. Right? So with marine biology, that because it's science, it's one of the STEM subjects, and I know there's a lot of talk about the lack of women and the problems they face for advancement in STEM. Did you find the fact that you're a woman was a drawback? And did you find that there was much discrimination or even disapproval for following this type of career path?
So I wouldn't say it's a drawback. For me, it's a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess I'm lucky because I I don't think I never felt discrimination or disapproval following this career path. But I am lucky to have understanding like friends and family that have always supported me when I would disappear for long periods of time in far and remote places.
You're very lucky.
Yes, I realize that. Like it's easier if you've got like friends and family that support you and not like make you feel guilty of doing something you love doing.
Yes.
And also, I don't have kids so far, and maybe it's because I'm scared in some way that it will change my lifestyle or reduce some opportunities.
Yeah.
Even though that I think it's wrong to think like this, and my friends who had kids told me, that it didn't, it changed, but in a good way, and you always go back to what you love doing. You set up your own choice, but it is something that is always there, and then I also have to admit that on a few occasions, not that many, but when I didn't get a job in the past, there was always a small part of me that wondered, and what if I was a man? But that is something that I will never know, and in the end, at some point, you get something where you feel right, where you're happy, and that's what's important.
Yes, I agree. As long as what you get, you're really happy with, and it brings you alive, it's fantastic. So,
definitely.
I know you've done a lot of research into seals, and as you know, I'm absolutely passionate about seals. I think they're wonderful. So, when you went into research, was it the subject of research in general that interested you, or seals in particular?
Yes, seals are amazing creatures. I totally agree on that. And I could talk for hours about how incredible they are. So I will just say one quick fact about my favorite species, which are southern elephant seals.
Yeah.
They are the biggest seal you can find on the planet. And southern elephant seals live all around Antarctica and subantarctic islands. Yeah. And they can stay for more than 2 hours in the water, during which they can dive to 2,500 meters or more.
2,500?
Yes. Yes. And all that on empty lungs. So, when people ask me, why do you want to study them? Just that, just like summarize, how fascinating they are. And that's just one of the facts. But so if I go, yes, they are incredible. So back to the question. But I didn't choose seals at first. I chose marine biology in general. Yeah. Because also I thought that marine mammal was out of my reach. It was something that was for really lucky or really special or really super intelligent people. I don't know. And I did love everything about the marine environment. So it was okay. And then opportunities and encounters led me, luckily, into seals and then whales and dolphins. And then the more you study them and the more you want to know about them. So, I've been lucky to have been brought on that path, definitely.
Wonderful. Oh, that's great. So do you find now that there are more people who want to work in wildlife and conservation and the environment? And if so, do you think it's people's values and beliefs about nature and ecology and protecting the environment that are changing? Or is it more that the media are doing a better job at bringing these issues into the spotlight?
I do think that there are more people that want to work in conservation nowadays. Mm-hmm. I cannot say if it is because people's values and beliefs have changed. I think the main reason is that our planet is suffering from pollution, from global warming, and species around us are disappearing fast. Mm. We are currently experiencing the worst spate of species die-off since the loss of the dinosaurs 65 million years ago.
Really?
That's massive. 99% of these current threatened species are also at risk because of human activity. This is pretty sad. And yeah, and yes, I believe that the media is doing a better job, a good job at bringing this issue into the spotlight, definitely.
Yeah. So what progress is being made regarding conservation worldwide? Because I don't know enough about it, but are some countries more dedicated than others? Or is it more greatly influenced by things like foundations and research organizations and even international NGOs?
So yes, some countries do seem to be more dedicated than others. Like some create large protected area, for example, a marine protected area in Chile, land protected area to protect forest, or big land in Argentina. Some develop education program. It can be about recycling, about not disturbing wildlife. It's all important step. Some countries have started banning plastic bags.
Yes.
But not all countries have the capacity to dedicate resources to conservation, and that is when international NGOs and research organizations can play a big role.
Yes.
But for me, in the end, progress is mainly made by individual people. We all play a role at our scale. And yes, a good president will sign an agreement, but after the bad president can withdraw that agreement.
Yes.
The people in the country can choose to continue to recycle, to not use plastic. If you work in an NGO and public money is cut, then you will start looking for other sources of funding. And what I want to say is that countries and NGO play a massive role, but we all play an important role, and big changes for me are generally driven by dedicated people that make a difference.
Yeah, because they start almost like the grassroots movement.
Yes.
What progress do you see happening in the next 20 or 30 years?
So what progress do I see or do I want?
Well, both. Okay, tell me both. Very good.
So the progress that I see, I strongly believe that there will be better protected areas and species, because we're just starting to use all the new technology to protect species and not only to study them.
Mm-hmm.
I see that around me. It's a new big recent shift. For example, until now, recently, we would mainly use all the latest satellite technology which is great to study seals migration at sea, for example.
Yeah.
But it was mainly for pure research, to provide information on the foraging ecology or physiology. And now, the same researcher and new researcher team up with companies to develop new tags, for example, for elephant or rhinoceros in Africa, to send an alarm if they are in danger, so we can go and do something. And this is a new way to use this technology, not just to learn or to study these species, but to protect them. And that is good. Yes.
That's brilliant.
It is. So this brings hope. And it's good that science is used in this way.
Yes.
So there's all this science for conservation that is developing fast. And what I would like, really hope, is a plastic-free world. And I think it can happen in 20 to 30 years. We can get rid of plastic.
And so do you think plastic is almost like the worst crime against conservation? Is that what's causing more problems?
I think it's one of them, and I think it's also one where we can all act. When you ask people to do something to reduce global warming, it's hard to figure out how you can do that. You can walk instead of taking your car, but but stop using plastic that you find everywhere, like everywhere in the ocean, everywhere on land. This is something we can all do. And it's something that you can, ban plastic. It's easy. Banning using petrol is less easy.
Yes.
I really hope for that.
Huh. It's interesting because I know where I live, I'm not sure about the rest of the country, but simple things like our rubbish, when we throw out our rubbish, we've now got 3 different categories of, sorting things and blah, blah, blah. And one of them, which is the sort of the household things like, the old vegetables, the old bits of food, if you don't actually keep them for your compost heap, we've got a special bag that we have to use, which is biodegradable. So, and they refuse to take the rubbish if it's in a plastic bag. So I think then it's the commune starting something small, but it can have a huge impact, and it makes people aware of the difference. And I think even starting with things like that, it helps. But there's another idea I have, which, I mean, I'm sure they won't ever do it, but it would be good. Because one of our bins is for plastic and cardboard. Now, but yet again, at the same time, if we have newspapers to throw away or bottles or something like that, we actually have to go to the rubbish tip, or we have to go into the town, the special areas. Now, as they've already started with the household waste, the vegetables and blah, 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 it would be such a good idea if they refused to take plastic as a normal rubbish collection and made people take plastic to a special place in the middle of town, because people are naturally lazy about things like that. So it's psychological. If they had to take plastic somewhere special, I'm sure they'd buy much less plastic. So.
Oh yes, and also there's like all kind of shops reducing the plastic and also going back to glass bottle.
Yes,
all that helps massively.
Yeah. So anyway, sorry, I got distracted there.
You are listening to Anna Letitia Cook at Women Up Radio.
With all the experience you have, and with the fact that you chose to go into this field of marine biology and you succeeded from changing your direction from art, literature, etc., what advice would you give to young women who want to enter this field today, and what can they do to improve their opportunities?
Well, I will give them 3 advices today. One is to follow their dream because you are good at what you love doing.
Yes.
2, to bounce back, because yes, it's not always easy, but if you keep going, keep trying, then you will get there. And 3, be optimist, be happy, be someone people want to work with.
Excellent. That's perfect advice. I agree 100% with all of that.
Good, I'm glad.
Such a nice life to have that as well. Okay, so another thing which is absolutely fascinating, you're participating in the all-woman Euro-Arabian North Pole Expedition very soon. Can you tell us about the expedition? What do you hope to achieve? And what are the main challenges and dangers that you'll encounter during this trek to the North Pole? And by the way, I'm totally jealous about that, as well as the seals.
So yes, I'm lucky again. This is an all-woman expedition that will ski the last degree to the North Pole this April. The expedition is led by Felicity Ashton, an amazing British explorer, and she selected 10 women from Europe and the Middle East to accompany her on this journey.
Yeah.
And the main aim of this expedition is to foster greater dialogue and understanding between women from Western and Arabic culture.
Yes.
And by the way, none of us are superwomen. And because we also want to show that anyone that put their mind to something can do it. And that was actually the first question I asked myself when I saw Felicity's advert was, Can I do it? And I will always remember our first training in Iceland when Felicity told us that we could all do it if we wanted. And she was there to tell us how.
Oh, really?
And yeah, it was amazing.
Oh, good God. I think that's incredible. So what are the main challenges and dangers? Because, I mean, North Pole is pretty bleak, pretty deserted, and, you know, it doesn't have rescue services very easily.
No. Not at all.
You can't dial 999 and call for the police or the ambulance. So.
No, that's all the preparation is going into that, so nothing bad happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, the main challenges for me are first to ski all day, every day. That is a lot of time with yourself.
Yes.
Then there will be the 24 hours daylight, so I'm not sure how well I will sleep. Then there's like practical stuff like peeing in a bottle so I don't have to get out of the tent in the night. And this is something I'm currently training at. And then there's also like sharing my emotions because we do video diaries and writing for a book. So for sure I can talk about the weather every day, but what I will be asked and what people are interested in is what I have to say about how I coped with that weather. And yes, this is challenging. And the main,
So is the weather dangerous at that time of year, or is it dangerous all year? I just don't know enough about the North Pole.
Yes, it's dangerous all the time. Yeah, the main danger are the weather. I think the cold, frostbite, losing a nose, a finger, or worse, going into hypothermia. Yeah, this is real, and that was the first training from Felicity. It was how to protect us from the cold and anticipate any incident. And then there's all the crevasses, falling into open water. That doesn't sound good either. We want to avoid that. And then there's a polar bear. There shouldn't be any that far from the ice age, but with global warming, footprint of polar bear have been seen much further from that water age recently.
Oh, really?
So we'll have to keep an eye for them. So that might also disturb our sleep.
And how cold will it actually be?
But usually it can be anything between -10 and -40. So, yeah.
That's cold.
It is cold.
And what about the water? You said you've got to go across open water. So how cold is the water?
But we'll try to avoid the water. We really want to avoid falling into the water. But the water is around like 0 degrees. It's like it's flowing water, but it's a few degrees. So it's warmer than the air normally.
Yes, well, that's good. But
fall in the water. First thing is to get out of the water as quickly as possible, and then to get all your stuff out and jump in a sleeping bag in a tent to warm up.
Yeah. And I suppose you're having to drag everything you need with you. So you're having to drag sledges with, I don't know, the tents and the food and stuff like that?
Yes, everything. Sleeping bag, mats, food, fuel, rifles in case of polar bear.
Really? So how heavy are the sledges?
I would say, because just now we've only had training for a few days, so they were less heavy than they will be for the North Pole. But I imagine something at least like 30 kilo.
Oh, really? And you have to drag that? Oh, God, it's really quite an expedition. I mean, physically, you must have to be really fit, let alone mentally, but physically, just the act of skiing all day, every day, and dragging something along, that's a lot of energy that's needed.
It is a lot of energy, but I think fitness is important, but it's a lot about endurance. We won't go fast. We go slow and continuously because you don't want to overheat, because you don't take layer off in the North Pole. So you set off at a slow pace and you skiing all day. And through the day, you only stop for like 7 minutes every hour and a half to drink or eat something quickly. Mm-hmm. So it's not like training for a marathon where, you know, there's a lot of physical training because you are running for like a marathon. Yeah. There is some fitness needed, but it's just would be like the endurance and mentally to go through it.
Oh God, yes. Yeah. you must have incredible mental strength and determination. So how did you get involved in this, and what type of background do you have in challenges of this sort? Have you done anything like this before?
So I got involved. I saw Felicity's advert on a social network, and at that point I asked myself, why not? Yeah. Because I had the North Pole in my head for so long. I think maybe as a marine biologist, and I thought that was my opportunity. I wanted to see that ice before it all melts. I wanted to witness that change. Yeah. And so I applied, got the interview, and I was selected to join the team, and that was surreal, and it still is. And I don't think I never challenged myself like this before. As I signed up for a half marathon a few years ago, and that was a big deal for me at the time. And also, in some way, I'm used to rough and cold places for my work. Yes. But the differences are that for this scientific mission, I didn't have to carry all my gear and food every day. Yes. I didn't have to set up camp every day. Yeah. When the weather was too bad, we would postpone our work and we had more comfort. Yes. And so in all these missions, I would always have some books and games for free time or on bad days, and not this time. This expedition is really going back to the basic for survival, pushing ourselves, so we all reach the North Pole in one piece. So definitely new and challenging for me.
Oh, it's amazing. It's so inspirational. It really is. I've been watching all of the Facebook lives that you've done and things like that, and it just makes me dream of doing things. Anyway, right? So, as I'm saying, this is a really good example of growing and empowering ourselves from our own experience. So, in what way do you think this helps to empower women?
Well, I recently gave a talk to 13 years old kids from a high school, and I asked them name of explorers, and they couldn't give me one woman. All men. I had Christophe Colomb, Neil Armstrong, Jean-Jacques Cousteau, Shackleton, not one woman, and they do exist. Yeah. So I think this expedition is also to set an example that if she can do it, if they can do it, then I can do it. Yes. Because in the team we have mums, wife, some young, some less young, some who works at a desk, some who works outdoor, and we're all going to ski to the North Pole together and helping each other on the way. We're going to share our experience and hopefully inspire others to pursue their dream, to push back the limit they set themselves.
Yeah, I think it's amazing. So, but many of us dream of breaking out of our normal existence like you're doing, right? And doing something to push ourselves for our own self-development. How do you think we can start doing this? And are there any baby steps that you can recommend to start us on our way?
But first, I want to say that if you're thinking about it, that's the great first